Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to the Beyond Bitcoin show on my backup channel. It's going to be a very short show. Today is May the 26th, 2025, Memorial Day and Jerusalem Day in Israel. That's why I'm wearing this Bitcoin Israel shirt. Strong hand, long-term thinking, one day closer to an all-time high. All right, we're just going to get straight into this thing. It's a little different. I'm glad I get to use the backup channel today. Who knows where else you will see this at. Hopefully on Twitter. Follow me there at TechBalt, TechBalt. Last night I was reading Mike Cernovich's tweet that's for some reason somebody retweeted that I respected, I guess. I don't know how I even found it now. Going to South Africa in 2015 completely changed how I see the world. Okay, to me, my first time there was 2015. I was in Cape Town, and I also ended up eventually on other trips to Johannesburg and to Port Elizabeth, and it changed the way I saw the world also. You go there so I agree with him there, but I think it made him a little bitter. I don't know what it made him. You go there as an American and feel at home, deep within the DNA. Now, okay, what's this DNA thing we're talking about here, dude? I felt comfortable there, partly because I'm from Baltimore, and Cernovich is not from Baltimore. It's like when you're walking through a city like Cape Town, where most people you see are black, it's like walking through Baltimore City, where most people you see are black, and then they're white people. Otherwise, the accents I didn't feel at home. They were they were nice accents. And people were very nice and kind, and it was clean in Cape Town. Where I was, at least. And we'll get into the cleanliness in a second. Then you see how much you are hated. Whoa. Now, you don't see hatred there in the big cities. Again, the places I've been to and the suburbs of Johannesburg, during the daytime, you see a functioning country, actually. Now, we can get into the specifics of the politics in a second. You don't see the politics really on the street. All the flame throwing and some of these horrible people they have in the ANC, it's disgraceful, obviously. But you don't see them on the street. So, like in virtual Twitter land, yeah, you're just inundated with emotion and hatred and people like Cernovich stirring it up to gain clout, because this is a train to jump on. And he says, you see how much you are hated, how Soros and Marxism is worldwide. Ho. You don't see that. You don't see Marxism. And how behind we were in the United States in fighting back. No, that's not what I thought of it at all. Okay, let me tell you what you see. Now, I know what he's referring to with the Marxism. There is Marxism in their politics. If you study the politics for a second, and they were talking about taking farmers' land, taking the Boers' land. Yeah, that is pure Marxism. Does that in the city, is your private property being taken because you're white? No, it is not. Not at all. Have they started taking farms yet? Not during my visits. Again, the last time I was there was 2018. I don't know if they've officially taken. Now, I've been to Zimbabwe also, where they have taken the white farmers' land, and it's horrible. And I met the white farmers, the few that are left. One that's left, I was a Bitcoin guy like me. Pound that like button for Bitcoin. And no, it just if they were actually start taking away the farms of the farmers and give it to people who don't know what they're doing, all of Southern Africa would starve. Okay, you go to Mozambique, which should be fertile as anything. You go to Zimbabwe, which should be fertile as anything. You go to Namibia. I've been to all three of those places also. They get most of their food from South Africa, okay? South Africa is the breadbasket. The food is delicious. That's another thing you notice when you're there. You don't notice Soros and Marxism on the streets and how far behind we're fighting the United States. No, we haven't gotten to the point of where people would talk about taking people's land because of their race. That has not happened. Now, there's been talk of reparations, other things like that. This is a different stuff. But in terms of they had the African National Congress is founded in communism. I mean, their original sign was like a version of the sickle hammer, and Nelson Mandela was quite communist in his way. I'm not going to get into, and he is worshipped there still. And I think people, as Americans, what Cernovich could say is like, we in America are naive about South Africa. We think it's this beautiful, everything works perfectly. The government must be so great. It's this rainbow of greatness, and Mandela was so great. And no, it's not so great. It's not a good say. I mean, there are those shanties, and that you don't go to those places though. You don't go to the townships. You see it like on the train from the airport to Cape Town. It's pretty brutal looking. It's horrible. That's terrible for a country. And if they had a capitalist society there, truly capitalist, there are many capitalist aspects there. They wouldn't have, if they didn't have a corrupt government, they wouldn't have those townships. But the people in the townships keep voting for this kind of stuff, okay? So the Marxism hasn't failed per se. The communist aspects of their government, some people are quite satisfied with what's going on there, quite satisfied. Now, the Boers being granted asylum here because there's been violence against them on their farms. There's been farm violence. That is totally insane. Yes, that's totally insane. But do you see this in the cities? And when I was in Zimbabwe, I talked to the people about how their farms were confiscated, and the black people there were like, "That's horrible. That was horrible." They agreed. They didn't hate Whitey. The people in Harare, they're normal, nice people there. It's not like, I think what Cernovich and all these people try to paint a picture of, like roving mobs of black people going after white people on the streets of Harare, on the streets of Cape Town and which is Johannesburg. And no, that's not. Okay, so when things get dark, then you got a problem. It's unacceptable. So all these supermarkets close in the nice suburb of Johannesburg. What's that place called? I forgot. It's where I went to the Bitcoin conference. Google has all the big corporations have buildings there, and they do affirmative action hiring where like they have two dudes working the bathroom. The bathrooms are so clean because they have too many people working them. Also at the tourist areas, which I guess are government staff, like in Cape Town, they have so many dudes supposedly working like tour guides who are doing nothing, but it's safe. They're falling asleep. I literally saw like tour guides in Cape Town in the tourist areas. They're like standing up and they're falling asleep. So this is ridiculous. And of course, the people are being taxed there. The producers there, they're very few. I mean, it's like what 20% of the population produces there. It's pretty bad. They're getting taxed horribly. Yes, they're getting taxed, but we haven't got to that point. We realize that's pretty bad here. Now, did we know everything that was going on with the Boers? I knew what was going. I spoke about it in South Africa when I gave a Bitcoin. When I monitored, I was the moderator of a Bitcoin panel in 28, and I said that the rumors about taking the farmers' land, it's horrible. That should not be allowed. You were allowed. I wasn't arrested or anything like that. So but I knew about it then. It was in the news, but now people like Cernovich who try to gain clout, it's a good thing to get attention for. The guy who's going around, he was on the Ben Shapiro show. He's a Boer. What's his name? Ernst? I respect the guy a lot. He's great. He says, no, there is not a white genocide going on in South Africa. Now, are there some people who would like there to be a white genocide? To kill every single white person? Yes. That one, I forgot what that guy's name is, Manila or whatever, who's part of the Marxist party there. He's a straight up Marxist. Yeah, he would like to have white genocide. But genocide is a very serious word. If you're committing a genocide, you are targeting a specific group of people to eliminate them all by death. All by death. Okay? So is that going, right now, is there a process to eliminate every single white person in South Africa by death? No, there is not a process of that going on. Is it dangerous to be a white farmer there? Yes, very dangerous. Farm attacks are horrible. That is a horrible thing. So is there a genocide against the Boers? Well, they're not all farmers. Is there a genocide against the white farmers in the Boers farmers in South Africa right now? Is it being carried out? There's some people that wish it to happen. Is it being carried out by the government? No. Now, are there raving bands of lunatics that have killed? Yes, they have. So you could say, well, if the government allows this to happen and then they start sponsoring it and they start encouraging it, then yeah, it is the process of white genocide is going on there, or Boer farmer genocide is going on. Now, it's very important to talk about these issues before they can get that serious. And it's already very, very, very serious. But sadly, the semi-communist state that they have going on there, even though the power goes off, because Atlas won't shrug, because the producers keep producing, because Google keeps hiring, and all these other big corporations, Microsoft, that got nice buildings there in that nice suburb of Johannesburg that I can't think of the name of, because they keep on playing by these silly rules. It's nothing. They're successful. These governments are able to stay in power, even though the power. I mean, there were days I guess a couple of years ago where the power would go off every single day for long periods of time, like in Johannesburg. That's ridiculous. Johannesburg is a major, beautiful, modern city. It can be, and that suburb, I want to say Canton, but that's not its name. It's like Denton, Canton, I don't know, something like that. I wonder if anybody's commenting on this thing here. And I'd link to Cernovich's tweet below so you can reread it and everything. And again, he was retweeting, he was commenting on again, somebody that's just, they get into this, he's such a conspiracy milker. I don't think he believes any of half the stuff that he tweets about. He's not a good dude or nothing. Whatever. He can be an interesting guy. I wouldn't waste my time on him. He says just provocative things to get clout. But there's so many people that are so obsessed with Soros. They think it's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy. Again, the way you can tie Soros into South Africa is that he believes every single person on earth should vote, have a say in everything else. So the dude in the township in South Africa with the machete, he should have a say in what goes on in the United States of America, how we're governed. And the reason George Soros thinks this is because George Soros thinks that he is so awesome that he's able to influence history, and he's able, by reflexivity, and shape the way things work. So if everybody has a vote, he'll be able to convince everyone to vote for what he wants and give his whatever he desires power. He is not a communist. He's his own special manipulative, and he is able to manipulate everybody by building up, by making people like this think he's behind every single thing. That's part of his plan. Now, he's not going to live too much longer, whatever, but he's got a son. He's got a lot of money. His foundation will be to cause trouble. But again, it's like you're just throwing out keywords here. South Africa, DNA, Soros, Marxism, fighting. And then the other guy, Open Society for South Africa began its work in 1993. Great. Again, yeah, Open Society is in every darn country. Soros, it's real. People should just not worry about country-specific stuff with Soros. He's a one-world government guy, and he thinks he's got the best ideas. And he's able to manipulate people that don't think he has the best ideas. Anyway, he thinks he can control the world by giving everyone an equal say, and there shouldn't be bored. Whatever. We've drifted off the main topic here, which is I think everyone should visit South Africa. It is, if you are comfortable being in a place like Baltimore, if you're street smart, you're not naive, you'll be fine there. During the day, it's actually safer than inner city Baltimore in some of those. In some parts of, if you go to the right parts of Cape Town and Johannesburg and the suburbs of Johannesburg. Now, Port Elizabeth, it reminds me of Baltimore a little bit because it's deteriorated, but it's a beautiful view of the Indian Ocean. And yeah, it's sad to see this. Like, you could see in the 1980s, definitely, like, they made a lot, they had really good infrastructure there. And since apartheid ended, since Mandela took over, things have slowly crumbled. So you can still see things from 1984 that were pretty nice. And especially that was in Port Elizabeth that I noticed. Uh, and like, just there's some things that are just, so it's only going to get worse and worse. And until because it's Atlas won't shrug. The people, the producers still support it. So the horrible statists in government are just going to keep pushing the boundaries. And we do need to, people need to call attention to the killings are horrible. The violence is horrible. The begging is pretty bad there. But there is a level of the people worship the government on a certain level. People still worship Mandela there. People still worship Mandela all over the West. And they should just, don't put someone on a pedestal is that lesson right there. But no, I forgot what I was going to say now about moving on and the progress that they could. Oh, no. It's very statist in some ways, but because the government is so inefficient, you can, there are some pretty free market things you can do there at times under the radar, I would say, things that I've seen. I mean, I give the guys that have no money there, they wear orange vest and they help you park your car, even though you don't need help parking on the street. And then they expect like a 10 rand for you, which was about $1 at one point. And people just give it to them because I guess they're scared that the dude that helped them park the car, if you don't tip him, maybe will like hurt your car or something. But no, there's all a modern, they're like for the Olympics or for I guess the World Cup, they built some good things there that are modern, but they'll fall apart eventually too. I mean, no, they do not want to be, they know the example of what happens when you go full land confiscation is right to the north in Zimbabwe. You can visit it anytime. And it's just like, at least it's not dangerous there. It's probably safer there than in South Africa at times. It's a little weird because it's just like, I mean, everybody's not so well off there. So there's like no one to jack or anything and no one to be envious about. And the people in Zimbabwe, they're so, and you can see the Zimbabwe, I could tell, when you get used to it down there, you could see like illegals from Zimbabwe that go to South Africa. And but their accent is a little bit different. They're very hardworking people. You got to give them credit. And that's another thing. For all this talk by us Westerners of how horrible South Africa is, yeah, compared to the United States, it's not good. But everybody in the other countries is trying to get into South Africa. Zimbabweans are trying to get into South Africa. Probably Mozambique too, that there's a language barrier. Namibia used to be a colony of South Africa. So it's like, that's kind of like South Africa, Namibia, except there's like nobody there. And it's Windhoek is a very interesting city, and there's a German influence. So I encourage everyone to visit Cape Town, the most beautiful natural scenery in a city I've ever been to in my life. Go to Johannesburg. If you like post-industrial, go to Port Elizabeth. Windhoek is interested in Namibia, and go to Harare. Go to Harare. I haven't been back to Harare since 2016. So what's his face was still alive then. So it's different. Unfortunately, the people that took over after whatever his name was, it's good I don't even remember his name. He's so horrible. But the dudes that took over after him, they were worse with the economy. Mugabe, he allowed that. Well, he was forced. He was senile then. He was like senile like Biden. He's a good compare. I mean, he was senile like Biden was. It's very interesting. And then he got cooed at the end. But he allowed the dollar to be their currency, and they stopped printing their own currency, which was a great move. So at the end of his regime in 2016, that's like the best economy they've had. And not that there were problems. You could not get your money out of there. That's why I was talking at the Bitcoin conference there. All right, finally, let's see if there were any questions. Hi, Adam. Hi, old rounder bro. Okay. I believe that's going to be the end of the show. Watch the UK Bitcoin Masters show now on his main channel. Is there anything else I wanted to say about? Decentralization of South Africa. The state that Cape Town is in is a little bit more conservative than the other states. They actually have like politicians who are center. I wouldn't say right of center. They had a woman premier or governor. I don't know how they designate them. When I was there, she was pretty good. And they have wine parties. It can be really high class there around Cape Town during the daylight hours. During the night, everything closes. It's disgraceful, man. People taking cabs from hotels just to travel 4 blocks. I walked in Cape Town, and I walked by a bank, and there was like a dude guarding the bank with like a machine gun. I mean, it was unbelievable. The security, woo, that was wild. But what they should do is kind of like create a system where it's more like the United States was meant to be originally under the Articles of Confederation, and just have the states loosely federated and create like an enclave out of the state that Cape Town is in, just to be like, you statist, horrible people in the federal government of South Africa, that corrupt dude who just met with Trump, just let a little piece of your nation be decentralized from you. Just let them. I know it'll be embarrassing when they succeed in 2 freaking seconds, and they're just a capitalistic, because South Africa had its own Malay. Oh my Lord. If South Africa had a Malay, that's the real answer there. And I don't like putting people on pedestals. South Africa has more natural resources than Argentina. South Africa would be like a top 6 nation, maybe even higher, if they were really let it loose there. Really, I mean, it would take a little bit of time, but with a Malay type character, it would be really awesome. But of course, the corrupt leaders don't want that. The people aren't going to vote for it. And when you have this democracy is mob rule. When you have mob rule vote, which they basically have there, you're always going to have like these 20% of the people, or maybe more, who are like really poor, who don't know Marxist. They'll believe anything that any leader says. They're going to vote for the most horrible Marxist type of thing possible. Always, just really bad stuff. And so as long as you have that, no one on a federal level will, know that the leader of South Africa will never be anything close to Malay. Now, again, if they structure things a little bit differently, but why are they going to give up their power? So if they were just to have like a mini Malay in a mini part of whatever that province's state is called, that Cape Town is in, give them some autonomy, and it would be great. But yeah, the ultimate dream would be to have a Malay in South Africa. So pound that like button. The people back then, when I was at my first Bitcoin conference ever there in 2015, and then 2016, then 2018, I hope some of those guys got rich. They could have gotten in on Bitcoin. I was there at its lowest point in the that cycle. I was there when it was like right around $200 in April 2015 was my first time ever in Africa. Wow, 10 years ago. I guess this is an appropriate video. We've tied it all together now. And yeah, they're really some smart people. They're really productive farmers there. They're harder workers than so many Americans. It's unbelievable. But then their bureaucratic class there is, they're lazier than Americans. Again, you can't blame them. If they're going to pay you to be a tour guide and you just stand up and fall asleep, I guess, do what you're going to do. It's better than parking cars, buying an orange vest and begging people for $1 and saying you parked their car when you didn't. Pound that like button, everybody. Watch UK Bitcoin Master now. See you later. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.